Let's go. Game time. Welcome to the Better Baby Daddy podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, John Laxman.
I'm your other co-host, Kelly Burgess.
And today, B, we're going to talk about the teenage years, dealing with those teenage years as the non-custodial parent. Now, I'm on the verge of navigating that. You have already navigated that.
Yeah, you're on the surfboard swimming out to the wave, Still hear people on the beach. You going toward the wave.
Yeah, man, it's coming. So let's start with you, since you've already navigated this part of it.
Yeah.
What were some of the difficulties, the challenges that you faced with?
I'll just say two things. One, you're getting news about your kids in a more intense way and a delayed way. So you're not getting the incidences that happen with them in the moment. So then they're coming home and saying, this boy did this to me, or Dad, there's this girl that I like, or I'm feeling insecure about my body. You're hearing about that maybe 2, 3, 4 visits out.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Their peer group. The second thing is their peer group becomes the gravity in their life. And, we talked about that, how first it's a little, hey, I'd like to come a little later on the visitation because, I'm going to be at this event and it doesn't end till 7. Right.
Yeah.
But then it's, I'd rather stay home. Right. And so there's that, you're not the center of their world anymore, So there's that pulling away. And so with that, when issues come up and normally in teenage years, you would just have less time to deal with things that are very intense.
Yeah.
So those are the two things looking back. The biggest challenge I had was with my daughter, because her responses to everything were more outsized than my son's, So, and it takes time to unwind all that.
And I'm guessing if you haven't done the quote unquote pre-work prior to the teenage years, then that distance that's created between you and your children or child becomes even greater.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And one thing, not to, belabor this point, but one thing that also made it complicated is when your kid's relationship with your new partner is not as good as it can be. That drives a further wedge, right?
Wow.
During that intense time, because you're not the go-to anymore because there's friction when they come over to the house. And so we experience some of that.
Yeah, it just gets more complicated.
It takes an already complicated situation.
Yeah.
You throw the fuel of teenage living in there.
So hormones, bam!
Bam. And then, a family dynamic that's not as smooth. And then you just got a recipe for a really challenge.
Wow. All right. So I guess the first step then is to acknowledge the challenge that comes along with navigating the teenage years as the non-custodial parent.
Yeah.
So as you've already alluded to, there are increased complexities that occur within that family dynamic.
No doubt.
What are some of those increased complexities that you already haven't mentioned?
Well, I think, we talk about it every podcast, communication. So that gets stressed because you have a young person becoming more independent, and they might express that in different ways with the biological parent. And then that might come out a different way with the co-parent, and then come out a different way with the new partner.
Right.
And so all of that is just super complex. So if you're the biological trying to handle your child's emotions, which are normal emotions during teenage time, but your current partner has never experienced that before. Maybe their kids aren't as old as yours.
Yeah.
Or they just were like, yo, a kid better not ever talk to me that way, when my kids get that age, so now I got to deal with you, got to put the fire out with you, and I got to still be present with my biological, and then she's feeling like, oh, you side with her.
Yeah.
And then she goes home to the co-parent and says, Dad didn't, this happened, and Dad sided with something.
So you speaking from experience, direct experience in that situation. It sounded like I could feel that.
The point is, and the reason why we're so passionate about this is that we don't want you to go into that unaware with no tools at all.
Yeah.
And so I was unaware with no tools at all, except for my love for my kid, my partner, and just a general understanding. I want everything to work out.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. It's just too complicated for you to go in without a plan.
It sounds like some of the things that you took for granted because of their simplicity became overly complex.
No doubt.
I would say, of course, I'm just getting to that point, but I would say some of the things that you used to do as a family when they were pre-teenage years are no longer applicable as teenagers.
Right.
Like, hey, we're all going out to eat. No, I don't want to go.
I don't want to go.
All right, we're all going to the park. Park? Who going to the park?
Right.
I ain't going to watch so-and-so play.
Yeah. And then my kids came of age during, they were teenagers during the iPhone coming out. So
Whoa.
this is 2000, 7,
Yeah.
that time, 2008. And so smartphones came out. And so now you had this whole other thing you were dealing with that we didn't know anything about that.
Right.
We had flip phones or, use the phone at the house. So that was
The phone at the house.
right. That was an added layer of like, yo, that's a thing I got to worry about. So all that's to say is that it's going to be complicated, and then they're entering into a phase where you need to help simplify things for them. Yeah.
And that increased complexity coincides with that increased want and need for independence
No doubt about
that you should be affording them.
Yeah.
But where does that line draw? And then your current partner and your ex may have different ideas of what that independence looks like. She's 13, she's 14, he's 13 or 14. Oh, they could stay home for a couple hours. And then your ex is like, no, you can't leave them at home.
Yeah. I
Right?
remember battles.
Yeah, that kind of
I
stuff,
remember
man.
calling, making calls
Yeah.
about how you going to leave a 12-year-old at home, with little sibs and, because you got to work extra shift or you don't run it out like that. Not understanding the pressure that she was under, right? The
Yeah.
co-parent.
Yeah.
But that comes up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, man, we taking a trip down memory lane.
And then you just have the attitude shifts that occur because they are teenagers.
Yeah.
Now it's, hey, when I'm talking to my 10-year-old or my 5-year-old, hey, baby, go clean up your room. All right, daddy, I got it.
Yeah.
Now talking to a 14 or 15, 16, 17-year-old, hey, can you go clean up the room? Yeah, whatever. I'll get it when I get it.
Yeah, or they're not moving at the speed you want.
Oh, yeah, and that part.
It's like, what did you just... like it's an option, dog? Yeah.
And then they're dealing with the increased complexity themselves of
Correct.
shifting identities, right?
Yep.
That they're dealing with the fact, and you've already said this part a little bit, is where their parents are the center of the universe to where their peer group becomes the center of their universe.
Correct.
Right? That shift in identity,
Yeah.
finding what group I fit into. Am I going with the quote unquote jocks, the quote unquote nerds, the Bible study group, wherever it is? How do I fit into that group?
Yeah. And they'll be switching hats and costumes on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
So, and that's with a normal situation,
Yeah.
a normal, intact, I got mom and dad at the house and it's a challenge. So you take one parent out of the house, spotty visitation, it makes it really difficult to cover your bases as a parent team. But we're here with some tips for you.
So basically what you're saying is that your parenting style needs to be adapted to the teenage years.
No doubt.
What you did when they were 7 is not going to work when they're 15.
It's not.
Yeah.
And to go back a couple of episodes when we were talking about, hey, when it's time for you to add a person when you're blending families, you really have to be locked in as a parenting group on, hey, what are we going to do with this teen that is in our house? Not my teen coming over.
Yeah.
And just here 40 hours or 72 hours, whatever. What are we going to present as the parenting authority group to handling these situations coming up? But yeah, you do. What worked, chicken nuggets and extra dessert because you do that is not going to work at Thursday,
So the extra apple I give Isla in the morning. Hey, Dad, can I have another apple? Sure, baby, because you're so well behaved. The extra apple ain't working.
It's going to be apple schmap. Get out of my face.
So adapting our parenting style is one of the most important things we can do. We have to change in hopes of addressing certain things that occur as they become teenagers and as they transition through those teenage years. I guess one of those things then is adapting how we communicate.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where cell phones could be a great benefit.
Yeah.
Quick chat. Hey, I was thinking of you. Can't wait for us to go out and, get a burger later.
Yeah.
But also communicating when it's calm. Like you want to make those deposits, make those positive connections. Hey, sweetie, I really appreciated how, you responded to stepmom when, she asked you to do something. Or I really like how you thought about, your choice of friends or something like that. Like making those positives when it's calm because withdrawals are coming. And you want to make sure that you're really stocking the emotional bank account when it's chill. Little 15-minute walk where you gas your daughter up or your son up and say, hey, man, I know you're going to be able to handle this. I got a lot of confidence in you. So when there are some setbacks, you're like, oh, okay. You got some money in the emotional bank.
So we really got to have to lock in and focus on that quality. The quality, because the duration you spend with your teenagers is going to be much less than the time that you spent when they were 5, 6, and 7, 8 years old. So that quality is all the more important.
Really is.
And I know we've emphasized that
Yeah.
through a multitude of episodes
Yeah.
here, but that quality now,
Yeah.
because you might not have a 72-hour weekend.
No.
You might have a 48-hour
Yeah.
or a 24-hour one. How can you make that time count?
Exactly.
And then you're extending that. So maybe I don't get it all together,
Right.
right? I don't have those 72 hours together now.
Just back to
Yeah, so maybe now it is that text message,
Yeah.
right? Or it's a Wednesday night when they don't have a practice for
Mhm.
lacrosse or
Yeah.
whatever it may
Yeah.
be, or they're not going out with their friends. Hey, I'm going to come pick you up for dinner. You want dinner? Let's go to your favorite place.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
get you after practice.
Yeah.
Okay with your mom. Yeah.
Right.
You are going to have to be really, really flexible and fit into their lives in a lot of respects because there's other things that are just going to be more important to them. But
I'm guessing you have to be very humble, or you're going to get very humble.
you're going to get home.
Because you're going to send a text message
Yeah.
and it might only get a like, or it might get nothing.
I get the bubbles
Because
and then no response.
they
Right.
texted somebody else. Or your call was like, hey, let's go to your favorite restaurant. And they're like, nah, I'm just going to play the PS5 tonight.
Yeah.
And it's not personal.
No,
It's literally the teenage years.
it's really progress.
Yeah.
You know, they're
Yeah.
literally creating an identity separate from you. And it's further complicated because you're trying to fit in with, depending on the timing of your breakup and the introduction of another person,
Oof.
which are two separate things, you know, that really can affect how quickly they adapt and do the normal things that you would do as an adolescent. One thing, and I'm going to put a plug into this book, we might have to do an episode just on this book. You know, what about the kids, you know, before, or raising your children before, during, after divorce. And the thing I love about it is that it breaks it down by age. And so there's a section on 11, 12, 13-year-olds. And there's a section on, 14 to 19-year-olds. And so you can know as a parent, hey, when I do go through a split, this is what my kid needs. And this is what they might be presenting to me emotionally. And, so I can understand it.
Mhm.
And one thing that they said, and it struck me, and I read it because I was trying to understand my adult kids and what they went through so I can parent them better, is they said that a split up can retard the progress that a normal adolescent makes emotionally.
Wow.
It can kind of fuse them at a level. So now you got a 16-year-old that's really kind of fused at 12-year-old. So if you break up at 12, chronologically, they're 4 years older,
Mhm.
right? But emotionally, they're kind of locked in at 12 years old.
So you're expecting 16-year-old
Right.
reactions and you're getting 12-year-old reactions.
Correct.
That's frustrating for you. You're frustrating them. They don't know how to handle it.
Right. And they know that they're not where they're, the other peers who've progressed kind of normally
Mhm.
on that adolescent track. And it plays itself out,
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. So all that's to say is that those check-ins and making sure you understand where your kid is and keep that communication open is really, really key.
So adapting our parenting style. And then one of the things that I don't want to use the word necessarily controversial, but we all parent a little different,
Yeah.
right? So there is a slight switch from where you are the drill sergeant in a sense,
Mhm.
that type of parent,
Mhm.
when they're 5 years old,
Mhm.
go clean up your room, go do this. I need you to do this. Because you're also teaching in a sense, right? These are my expectations. You're
Yeah.
teaching your expectations
Yeah,
and your
yeah.
standards, the household's standard and expectations.
Yeah.
To a shift ever so slightly, however you want to view this, to more of a mentoring and coaching style of
Right.
parenting.
Right.
Now, that is open to a vast sea of interpretation.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Because me as a father right
Right.
now, I don't know, I do know
Right.
in very specific situations,
Right.
I'm not mentoring or coaching you. I'm getting in your ass
Right.
about something.
Right. Right.
Like, that's just how it's going to be. And right or wrong, that's how I'm going to operate.
Right.
But I am going to be a mentor. I am going to be a coach.
Right.
But I'm going to be a father.
Yeah.
And there are some times, like, guess what? I'm a dictator.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, when you're talking about the teenage years, and we talked about this before,
Yeah.
we started filming, is like, it is, your 13-year-old is very different than your 18, 19-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a 6-year time period. It's not a lot of time. They're changing every month, it seems like, but you are more, and you have to be more hands-on. It might not feel like, I'm telling you exactly what to do, but the structures have to be really, really clear to your 13-year-old because they are going to want to test the bounds,
Mm.
and they need to be bouncing up against clear bounds. Like, no, I said 9 o'clock, phone away, not 10:45 because you were finishing up a level of, whatever. And then you release that a little bit more as a show that they can handle added responsibility, but it is tricky. So you might start off as like, no, I'm the parent, and you're feeling this parent power to, hey, maybe I ask you, what do you think about this? In the past, we did it this way. What's your thoughts on that? To, hey, I trust you with the decision. Let me know how it works out.
Mm.
Here's some parameters. And I trust you, 18-year-old or 17-year-old, I trust you. And let me know how it works out. If you need my help, I'm here.
Yeah, because you're obviously not gonna parent the same style. Even though we're talking about parenting in teenagers, you're not gonna parent the 13-year-old the
No,
same way you're gonna parent the
no.
18-year-old.
Yeah, and
Right.
you're not gonna parent, your son at 13 might be very different than your daughter at 13.
Wow,
And
yeah,
so
that is big.
and then being able to say, "Hey, no, your brother is able to do this.
Uh-huh.
You're not gonna be able to do this, even
Mhm.
though you're the same age because of X, Y, and Z.
Mhm.
And you're not gonna like it, but that's what it is." And
Mhm.
so
And then vice versa, the
yeah,
female may be able to do certain things because her responsibility and maturity
that
may
vibe.
super exceed the
Right.
brother when he was at that age.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's not easy.
it isn't. Like we always say, we want to arm you with just thinking before you're in it.
Yeah.
Like we don't want you to be on the wave, it's 30 feet high, and it's your first time surfing because you're gonna get devastated, right? So we
Mm,
want you to understand that, hey, when I paddle out to this wave, I got this strategy, or I'm looking for this, or this is what
yeah.
it feels like to be balanced on the board. And it's stuff that we didn't have, I didn't have, going into this situation with, teenagers and co-parenting and stuff like that. But yeah, so I can't
Yeah.
remember the point we were.
Just the adapting, the
Yep, exactly,
overall
right.
adaptation of the parenting
Exactly.
style as they progress through the
Right.
teenage years.
Right. Yeah, very important.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be
It's a lot of work, man.
but I think, that point of each of your kids is different
Yeah.
and they're gonna hit certain emotional markers differently.
Yeah.
And just be flexible with them.
Wow, yeah, that's big right there, man. Adapting our parenting styles. And then a lot of times that adaptation of parenting styles may require the incorporation of technology. And we hit on this a little bit earlier,
Right.
but technology can definitely be used to your advantage
Yes.
in these situations.
Yeah.
Now, you shouldn't become overly reliant on that technology
Right.
as a means of communication,
Right.
but it can be used. Simple things like, hey, sending them DMs on their Instagram,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If you're so fortunate to be on their Instagram friend list.
Right. You won't be on the Finsta. You won't be in the Finsta. The fake joint. You'll be the other one. You don't want to be on the fence.
Or sending them like memes and reels,
Yeah.
things of that nature
Yeah.
that just relate to your dynamic that you have with your child.
Right.
Like funny things, loving things, whatever that may be.
Right.
Shared playlist on Apple Music or Spotify, things of that nature.
I learned a lot about him through the playlist.
Hey,
and
music speaks.
Absolutely, it does.
Yeah.
Speak it's a language. Yeah. One thing that I'd like to do is go through old photos and just send them I just send them a blast from the past. One photo that was a time we did something, and it's like us reliving that moment again.
Yeah.
But yeah, technology is a great tool. It can be a battle,
Absolutely.
but it is a way, particularly if you're not in the house with them, to stay connected.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. How do I that connection I work so hard on, how do I maintain that through those teenage years?
Right.
And like technology can assist through that process. One of the other ways that we can help maintain that connection through technology is like, hey, what are you watching on Netflix right now? You know what? Let's watch this show together. We don't have to be together to watch the show now, right? We don't have to sit down on the couch and watch the same show. You can be on episode 7. I could be on episode 6, whatever it may be. Hey, I just caught up to you. Wasn't that crazy how this happened?
Don't they have a thing where you can watch the show together? There was some
kind of party that
like a party. Yeah. Like you can watch the show together and be in a chat.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something that occurred during the pandemic. Yeah, I don't know how it works.
But that is interesting that you can do that. I know that with one of my kids, what he does with his kids is they play a video game together. So his child's out with them. They're able to, go to this network. He's on a Switch, the kid's on a PlayStation or whatever device they can link up.
Yeah.
They're both playing with one another, and he's playing, his child is playing with his uncles, so they're all playing this video game together. And I was like, that's a really novel thing.
No, yeah. You know what? During just no, this is way before that. What am I talking about? This was probably a decade ago.
Okay.
Right. That came out probably maybe 11, 12 years ago where you could play online. Maybe before that. But me and my buddies, when I was still playing video games, which pretty much ended a decade ago, I stopped playing video games about a decade ago. We would play online together.
Okay.
So whether it was hockey, modern warfare, any of those things, they're up in Pittsburgh, I'm down here, and we're just playing together. I'm playing together. So yeah, that's a great way.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about. If you're willing to commit the financial resources and time, and your child is open enough, well, basically, your child should be open enough if you did that work. If you put in that work beforehand, to allowing you to participate in those activities that they really cherish at that time in their
No
life.
doubt about it.
And maybe it's NBA 2K, maybe it's Madden,
Yeah.
maybe it's something else.
Right.
Who knows?
I made a mistake during that time with my oldest, because he was really into what's the one I can't
Modern Warfare.
Call of Duty.
Oh, called it.
He
Yep.
was really into that.
Yeah.
I mean, just locked in. I remember him being, let's see, that was 2012. Oh, it was 12 years ago. So he was about 15.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
And I missed a moment to really just kind of sit down and say, hey, teach me the game, or, what are some moves? I'm going to get shot up in the first 15 seconds, but at least I'm there with you.
Yeah.
I encourage you, dads, to get in your kids' world. I think you talked about that last time we were talking about making special moments. If they invite you in and they leave a little crack open for you, step in and get in that world with them.
And we have to be very cautious that we don't take over their world. Some of y'all get a little overzealous, and you got the headset on. now you calling
Flight right. You ain't see that cat?
You yelling at Jimmy next door now.
Dad's becoming a little overbearing. You're studying YouTube videos for the latest moves.
Which brings us to our next point.
Right.
Respect their independence. Respect their world as well.
Yeah. And that can be tough because they're pulling away. Their world is their world.
Yes.
And it's not your world, 40 or 50 or 35-year-old dad. It's not your world.
You stepping in and jumping out.
You don't want to have that flavor of I'm the dad dominating their world.
Yeah.
But you want to usher them into that independence and feed those talents. And they're going to be varied. One day they're going to be down the rabbit hole on this thing. The next day it's going to be something else. So that goes back to being flexible, but then respecting that they're becoming a separate individual from you.
Absolutely.
And embracing that. And it might not look, your kid is not a little you. They look like you. They have the same DNA.
So well said.
They are an individual. And so that's the blessing to see, oh, okay, this kid is completely different than me.
Yeah.
And I love him, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the respect.
So I think that goes or points to the part where we need to understand there are moments that are going to invite us in. And then we may see, oh, that moment's occurring again. And then we don't get invited in and not overstepping that bounds. So we'll just go back to the video game. One day they invite you in, you're in there, you're playing video games. It's the next day. There's another opportunity for me to jump in. And they're like, whoa, Dad.
I'm good.
Yeah. So you have to recognize those signs. Yeah. And again, that's not personal stuff. That's literally being a teenager.
It is.
And you understanding that, like, all right, let me put my ego to the side as a father.
Right.
Allow them to have their independence. Allow them to have that social interaction with their friends without me being part of it.
And one thing that this book talked about is that your kid is going through, so particularly if your breakup is fresh or the new blended family is fresh, they're churning through so much in their mind just to getting accustomed to the new terrain that it just might not be on their mind to invite you in.
Yeah.
They're trying to cope.
Yeah.
All of these different changes and where do they fit into the pecking order of things. And so it's not personal. They're going through intense changes. They are thinking about the most important thing in their life, which is them.
Absolutely.
They're very ego, self-centered at that point, and it's a natural part of their, development. So, look at your feelings hurt, have a couple ways of coping, do some meditation or write a journal. Write your kid, note, tell them you love them, but it's not about you. They are very self-centered, and they're supposed to be at that point, and their world is their world.
Yeah, I definitely was. Yeah. I was the only person I thought about. Now I'm thinking I might still be there. With all that being said, though, we need to be present in key moments. So we have to recognize those key moments and be there. I want to say no matter what, but I know that can be very difficult based on certain circumstances, variables, as being the non-custodial parent. Sure. But as best as you possibly can, those key moments, you have to be there.
So how can a guy who's in this situation recognize this is a key moment? What are some telltale signs that, okay, I can't miss this?
Well, I don't know about the signs, but let me circle around to that answer. Listen, if you don't know, then there might be an issue. I'll say that much. Not being able to be there because of some legal part or something else is different. But you should understand, number one, that any type of promotion/graduation dealing with education is a key moment. Like, there's nothing else around that. Birthday parties, birthdays, because the parties always become tricky when you're non-custodial. Or can be very tricky when you're non-custodial. But birthdays, You should have something in writing where you have time with them on their birthday. If she decides, or if she decides to throw that party 2 weeks in advance and not invite you, there's little we can do. Or 2 weeks after and not invite you, there's little we can do. But on that day, can you make that day special for your child? I think that's a very important thing. Other significant moments that deal with, or that are adjacent to education, are things such as prom, maybe an 8th grade formal, a daddy-daughter dance in elementary school.
For sure.
Got to be there for those things. So those are the things. So how do I as a dad then recognize that I need to be there for those moments? Your child. If you've done the work before, your child will give you signs of that. So if it's a recital and they're asking, hey, dad, you come to the recital? Key moment. Like, that's not a maybe let me see moment. That's they asked you because they want you there. They may not saying, hey, I need you there, but them asking is saying, I need you there.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I was thinking about. When it's clear when they ask you to be there, can you come?
Yeah.
And then we talked about before, as much as you can, not to miss the firsts, the onlys, and the last.
Yeah, man.
The first of something, hey,
You better be there.
you be there.
Yeah.
This the only time this is going to happen, dude. It's the only time it's going to happen.
Can't miss that.
Cannot miss it. And then the last,
Yeah.
when your kid is putting a bow on something, maybe it's their last baseball game, and you know they're not going to play in college, their last high school baseball game or whatever. Whatever. If it's the last, you want to say, I was there for the last. This is the last I'm seeing my daughter or son do this thing. So those are the key moments. And so it creates some shuffling.
Yeah.
It creates a situation where you have to be super communicative with the co-parent. If you got a partner that's been blended in, you got to be super communicative with them. Just this morning with my 31-year-old son, trying to get a birthday thing together for him, planned it with him because he's an adult.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm thinking, it's just couple old heads getting some barbecue. But then it's like, okay, wait a second. I already know. Let me stop for a second. Then it's, you want your brothers to be there? Because I'm thinking it's just me and him grabbing, some ribs and a beer, right?
Yeah.
Then it's like, oh, you want your brothers to be there? Just asking him, hey, what's the scope of this thing you want? Yeah, brothers to come. Then I get a text from his mom saying, hey, I hear that you're getting some barbecue. Are you doing it? Yeah, sure. Why don't we combine it? Okay. And then I'm like, I got to tell my wife, wait a second, this thing is getting out of hand. Okay, and just this morning before we started filming, hey, honey, I set up something with, son, and it's going to be church and then barbecue. Are you free? We'd love for you to come. But the whole time I'm thinking, it's just me and my boy, get a couple rib chicken combination and a Heineken. And I'm like, yo, I really could have messed this up. And I'm 30 years into doing this thing. It's just pitches you're not going to miss. You're not going to hit all the time, but you have to think through and be communicative to all the players that are involved. And the love is in the invite, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
The love is in the invite. Hey,
and not the last second invite.
Not the last second. Oh, dang, my bad. I'm getting ready to head down, an hour away. I'll be back at 4. All right.
You would have called.
Don't do that. But the point is that, make those moments special and then communicate thoroughly to everybody involved so you can be there fully present. You're not having to put out a fire.
Said B. So present in key moments. Right. Don't miss the first, the only, and the last.
Right.
And if you're really going to lock in on that, you're going to need the assistance of the co-parent.
No doubt.
You're going to need the assistance of the baby mama.
Right.
There is no other way around that.
Right.
So hopefully you've done enough positive things in the past that you can get to the point where you can stop by for the recital.
Right.
Where you can be at the last baseball game. Where you can be at these things and there's not going to be a fight while you're there.
That's where you want to be. That's where you want to be. You've arrived when you're included in the planning of the event.
There you go.
You've reached like the mountaintop.
Yeah.
But we know it's a lot of you jokers that have messed up things out there who are like finding out about the event 2 weeks after the event happened. Your kids telling you about the event, the birthday party that happened, or you're seeing pictures posted on social media like, I didn't even know. I didn't even know it was a thing. We know, hey, we're speaking to you jokers out there. We feel your pain.
Absolutely, man.
I'm telling you, if you do the work like Elle said, you will be in a situation where you will be a valued contributor to either the planning or the attendance of the event. You
Right.
won't be locked out of these moments.
It might be the most important time to have a strong co-parenting
No
relationship,
doubt
those
about it.
teenage years,
No.
or you're gonna miss out on the key moments.
Right.
You're not gonna have access to your child at the same level just because they're not going to want to be there because they're searching for their own independence.
Correct.
And again, like we said before, that's not it's not a personal thing.
No.
It's like, no, I wanna go to the pool party.
Right.
No, I wanna go to the movies with my friends. I wanna go to the mall.
Yeah.
And it's not about you, it's about them.
It-
And if you don't understand that and you don't have that good relationship with the co-parent,
Yeah.
woof, you in for a long, long 10 years or
Yeah.
however long that, yeah.
And it's evidence that you have work to do. Like
Yeah.
if you're not getting invited to these things, you're not part of the planning,
Mhm.
or your kid's not inviting you, you by default have work to do. And so, we don't want you to be in those positions, man. It's painful. I laugh about it now, but there's moments I missed
Mhm.
because that work hadn't been done or it was too fresh, or my kid was just like, yo, I'm really not feeling you right now, Dad.
Mm.
There wasn't enough done or it was done sloppily. And your kid's like, yo, no, you're over here.
Mm.
I'm in this lane. And so you do need
Wow.
that co-parenting. And the other reason this is a major theme throughout all of our episodes is that you got to put your kid first.
Yeah.
And so at a time when they're wanting to go off the rails and their brain doesn't really understand the impact of making certain decisions, you need two sets of eyes on their life. And you have to communicate, hey, this is what I saw. Did she mention this to you?
Mhm.
Did he mention this to you? Did you know about this? So your child has that fuller protection that's trying to navigate this. Not easy, but necessary.
Man. Wow. Yeah, there's just so much that goes on in those situations.
Very.
It's yeah. And there's so many variables at play, but it all comes down to, have you done the work? And if you've done the work,
Yeah.
rewards will occur on the back end of
They
that.
will.
And it's consistency, it's communication, it's effort, it's going to feel like manual labor, right? It's going to be difficult,
Yeah.
it's going to be challenging,
Yeah.
there's going to be setbacks.
Yeah.
You're going to get frustrated, you're going to want to punch someone, don't do that, but things are going to occur. Are you willing to work through those things? Because are you putting your kids first?
Correct.
At the end of the day.
No
So
doubt.
build that co-parenting relationship. And if you haven't done that, get to work right now in this moment. Hey, get to work right now.
Yeah.
And then when we circle back around to our children, as they're teenagers, you need to address the difficult conversations.
Yep.
So those difficult conversations deal with sex, alcohol,
Mhm.
drugs, those intense things that we know teenagers are going to experience because you experienced them.
Yeah. I would throw social media in.
Social
That's
media
something
as well.
that I didn't come up with, but that is another factor that can impact them so negatively permanently. Right. And you got to address those early on.
And that conversation, like when we're talking about drugs, alcohol, sex, those things of that nature, those need to occur early in the teenage years.
Yep.
If you're waiting until they're 18 to have that conversation, guess what?
They've already experienced it.
Yeah, you're way too late, homie. Way too late.
Yep.
Those conversations need to happen really early.
Yeah.
Just for example, and not to toot my own horn here, I'm fortunate enough to have some time with my oldest while we're driving back up after I pick her up, which is a long drive, as you know. Her mother I am also fortunate enough to have a really good dynamic with her mother. And her mother texts me, she say, hey, she doesn't seem herself, essentially,
Right.
long story short. And I'm like, all right, cool, I'll talk to her on the way up. But ever since she was little, I've told her, hey, if you need to talk, I'm always here. I'm not here to judge you. I'm not going to get angry. I'm not going to get upset with you. Just have a conversation so we can work through your problem if you need me to help you work through your problem. So, she gets in the car and I can tell her mother's right. She is a little off.
Mhm.
So I was like, hey, let's talk. She's like, all right, let's go. Because I've already done that work, right? So we're having this conversation. You know what that conversation turned into? And I was like, and I get a little nervous asking these questions. She's 10 years old, 4th grade. How you feel about boys? She's like, they're cool. I was like, you like boys? Honest answer. I'm not sure yet. Okay. You like any boys in your class? Not really, but great. So I text her mother, it's not boys. Her mother's like, yes, let's go. She's like, tell me more.
That's top level.
But because I've done that before she was 10 years old conversations, now I'm doing that pre-teen conversations. When she's 15,
Right.
if I continue to work and build and put in that effort
Right.
and have those difficult conversations, she's like, yeah, you know what, Dad? There is a situation at school. And it might not deal with boys, but it might be a situation where maybe she's getting bullied. Or maybe she doesn't like the dynamic between her and her friend. and I can give her some advice. I
Yeah.
can help her co-regulate, co-navigate that
Yeah,
situation.
no doubt about it. That pre-work you've done
Yeah.
is so crucial. And then, you're able to, like we talked about earlier, when you make those deposits and do them when it's calm, you're able to frame her thinking a little bit like, hey, it's not just a conversation about sex. It's a conversation about this is how we value ourselves in this family. It's
Yes.
how we value our bodies.
Yeah.
We're worth this, or that's why we don't put, substances in it that make the Ferrari not run the way the Ferrari's supposed to run.
Right.
And so you're able to do it in a way that creates a framework for them that, hey, you're valuable. And that's why these things, can be harmful, or you want to navigate them this way. But kudos to you, man. Kudos to you and, her mom
Yeah.
for putting in that work and getting to the point where y'all are both pulling the cart in the same direction with her. And she knows that. Like, I'm sure it just puts her at ease that I have two in my corner.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
But the point is, hey, difficult things are going to come up.
Yes, they are.
Address them straightforward, tailor to the personality of your kid
And the age.
and the age.
Yeah.
Right.
We're not talking about condom use at 10 years old.
No.
Although in some situations, who knows? But in my specific situation, we're definitely not talking about that right now.
Hoping that we're not having that we're hoping that it's, can we play more video games? But, when the time comes, you need to address it. If you hear it coming back from their friends, it's time to address it. And that's how it's going to normally come. It's like, hey, Dad, one of my friends said this, or, what is this? Yeah, what is that?
Yeah.
Okay, now it's time, right?
Yeah.
But have them,
have the conversations.
Yeah. But, to kind of put a bow on it, the teenage years are a magical time, but they're a challenging time. And they are increasing. The challenge goes up exponentially because you have a family dynamic that's more complicated. And so that requires consistent communication, an understanding of the terrain you're getting ready to run into. Don't go in there blind with no plan. And that you constantly show your kid, I'm here for you. I understand what you're going through, and I'm going to parent you and coach you and all those other things. But we're going to navigate this thing together.
I just thought of a great analogy. The best coaches continuously innovate, whatever the sport is, whether it's Mike Krzyzewski at Duke, whether it's
I'm a Turk fan, so
whether it's an NFL coach, whoever it may be, right? They are constantly constantly innovating and constantly adapting their coaching philosophy, their coaching style, their coaching techniques to the lay of the land, right? No one's running wishbone right now, right? So if you're still running the wishbone offense, you're in trouble. It's not
cut off jersey.
3 yards in a cloud of dust ain't gonna work here. We got to open up the offense.
Right.
We got to be receptive to the fact that wishbone was productive in its time.
Right.
The West Coast, first iteration of the West Coast was cool, but now we're in wide open offenses, right? And what they also do, the best coaches put their players in the best positions to succeed. And that's your job as a parent, is to adapt and put your child in the best position to succeed.
Right. No doubt about it. So we covered a lot of ground, and I think this episode is a good one to come back to because, it would be good to kind of break down by age. Like when you're on the front end of it, like you're going to be soon, I'd say 11 to 14, like before they go to high school. Like that late elementary to
middle school year
is a different beast than, 9th through 12th grade and then launch into college. And so it might be good to, dive into that in a little bit more specificity and give me some time to kind of get some references from this book that really, if I couldn't, recommend one thing, get this book and read about your kid's age and then read about the co-parenting relationship because they have a chapter on what do you have to do. Then we can cycle back and get into some granular detail about something.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah, because those sound like 2 separate episodes as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
All right, B.
Good.
Wrap it up.
Absolutely.
All right.
So until next time, I'm Kelly.
And I'm John. Peace.